Hello friends, my name is Gaurav and we are going to start a new series on Storage Automation Campus YouTube channel, and this series is about NetApp ONTAP API automation. In this series I am going to introduce NetApp ONTAP API and how using these ONTAP API you can have a automation for your NetApp environment. We will be using different tools and Python language for this automation. So as I said in my previous videos, or as I always say, that you should have good understanding of Python when you, or at least basic understanding of Python, how to use these APIs, and I will try to elaborate as much as I can during the programs when I will create any kind of program. So, but if you have any Python understanding, that would be really beneficial for this tutorial. So, let's jump into NetApp ONTAP API automation. Before I go ahead and tell you what exactly the NetApp ONTAP API is, let me give you some information on the REST APIs. So REST API basically is a communication system between the client and server, and where server or client do not understand each other uh, language, and they need some kind of communication. So they need to do some kind of communication, and for that communication, when I say communication, it would be just a operation where something need to be done, or it could be a operation which basically need to which involve some kind of data transfer as well. So for that kind of operation, these tools, API, help server and client communication by on running on HTTP or HTTPS protocol. Generally, all the REST API has some common operations like put, post, get, delete, etc. I will try to explain you in the ONTAP terminology how it works. So put and post, you can say let's on the server, if you want to do something. For example, in our case in ONTAP, you want to create the volumes, queue trees, shift share, export policies, extra, etc. So that can be your put and post operation. For get operation, you can take it as an example of where you want to see the list of volumes, or you want to see the list of export entries, etc. Then delete operation is something, as the name says, it is like you want to delete any volume, you want to delete export policies. So basically these are different operations which are possible using REST API. So we will see how this works in the ONTAP API, and we will see what different tools are needed for the ONTAP API. So you can download NetApp Manageability Software Development Kit from mysupport.netapp.com website. I think now they have NetApp NM version 9.6 also available. So you should definitely have a login created on this website. Let me just show you how you can download this stuff. So once you go to support.netapp.com, just log into this website. You go to downloads, go to software, and if you will go down there, you should see NetApp Manageability SDK. I generally prefer to download all platform which contains the code for different languages. I have already downloaded this one, so I'm not going to download it here, but let me try to show you how it looks like basically. So once you will download this, you should have this folder. After you unzip the download, you should have this folder, NetApp Management SDK, and in this folder you may see different other folders like library, documentation, ZI, etc. I will explain more about these folders, what exactly they are, but they are more about the different libraries. So in under lib you can see there are Python libraries using which we will do the development. Then there are some document uh, are there where you can go check out if there are some different already available examples or something are there. So I'm not sure if that is under document. Yeah, you can read more about this document, this package in here. Then ZI is one of the important tool which I have opened here in the background. I will explain you what exactly ZI is, ZExplorer is. So let's go back to our presentation. So as I said, you can call it ZExplorer, ZExplorer, whatever you want to call it. But this is one of the tool which helps here to run the API and understand them first before you actually implement them in production or in test even. So you run the API, you notice how to use that API, you see how you can what would be the output of that API. So this tool basically is kind of a dry run for any of the NetApp API. Um, on the right hand side you can see these are three different files which are needed for any kind of development. So these files should be copied in your local system, or these files should be available on your you can have the path for these files for your scripts, so that script can use these libraries for automation or for using the APIs. um, this is ZExplorer or ZExplorer. So this tool basically helps you to understand how any particular API is going to be used by the ONTAP, and how what would be the output of that API, and what are different parameters you can add or delete from that API. So uh, you can notice that you can connect to data on tap as well as on command unified manager or DFM with this tool, but I am going to use only data on tap automation in this tutorial. You have option to add any server is nothing but it's going to be our on tap system over here. You can add using HTTPS or port 443 or HTTP port 80. Once you are in this tool, you basically see three major section out of this tool. I am going to explain you what exactly those are, not only here on this PPT, but I'm going to explain you back there on my software as well, on NetApp SDK ZExplorer as well. So on the left hand side, number one is the section where you see all the different APIs, and you can simply choose the API and drag it here in the center. Once you drag it here on the center, on the right hand side, you see how that API looks like, what are the different parameters out of that API which you can remove or add something. So that comes under number three. Number two is something once you run the API which need to be run from here with this green button, with the play button. Once you run the API, you see the output of the API in the section 2. So that tells you how the API output should look like. So before I go ahead, I would try to show you how it looks like. So this is our ZExplorer, you can see here, and I am already from the bar bottom over here, you can see that I am already connected to one of my simulator which is running on .50 IP address. I know this on the left hand side, this is what all the APIs available for this ONTAP version. Um, from here you can choose the different API version, whatever you want to choose it. In this particular case, I am going to use ONTAP API version 1.15. If you are not sure what exactly my version is, there is a API to check your API version also. I will show you that. Before I go ahead, let me show you how to connect your ONTAP system. So you click on this button over here, and then you click on connect, and then you give your IP address of the ONTAP system, your username, password, and simply say connect. You have more advanced option here to see whether you want to do a connectivity using HTTP or HTTP. Once you are connected, on the bottom bar here you should able to see the connection. Now let me show you how the API works. So I will use version API, and which is, there are two different version API. One is system get ONTAP API version, system get version. So system get ONTAP API version is the one which we'll use first, and this will tell us, as you can see here, obtain the current ONTAP API major and minor version. So it is going to tell you the ONTAP API version, not the ONTAP version. ONTAP version comes with this API. So I will simply come here and drop it down here, and I will. So as you can see, before I run it, you can see as I dropped it down here on the right hand side, it is automatically added. I will show you more how this panel works, what is the use of this panel, but let me run it first. So from here you can see that the major version of this ONTAP API is 1, and the minor version is 150. So this API is basically 1.15, and we are running it on 1.15. Same way, let me remove this. If I want to check what is the version of my ONTAP, so I can come here and click on this play button. So you can see the major generation is 9, and the major is 5, and minor is 0. So basically I'm running 9.5 ONTAP version on this series, NetApp release 9.5 over here. So this is how you use this tool, and basically you first try to understand what is the API is, how it is going to behave, what are the different output it is going to give. So you can see that what is coming out, that is basically, these are the symbol which is coming on the arrow sign which is showing on the left hand side. It is showing that this is what is coming out of this API, and which talks about like what is the version is clustered, or build timestamp and all this information. So this is what we can see is clustered is already there, it is true. And the version, we can see the version is also there. So this all information comes with this tool. So now before using this API in your environment in test or production, now you know how to use this API. Now let's come on to the development part. So once you click on the development here, you will see how to use this code in your program. So it is simple, very simple, that you simply come here, copy and paste this code, and run it on your system. And it should be this is developed using the Python language, so it should be able to show you in the Python console or in the Windows console that what is the ONTAP version. So the output what we are getting here, that output would be available in the Windows console also. We will discuss more about this, but before I go ahead, you have an option here to change the language. So let's say if you want to generate this same code in Perl, you can come here and generate the same with the Perl. If you want to generate in Java, you have option here to generate the same code in Java. As we in this tutorial we are going to talk more about Python, so I have this code developed in Python. So I can simply copy here from here and put it on my system and run it, so it should work perfectly. So this is what the ONTAP API tools works. It gives you more information about that. So let's jump back onto our presentation. So you can see here, as I discussed before, that you can use different languages for this tool. As per your need, we are going to use Python language here. So these are the some basic requirement needed to run this automation one is Python 3.6, then NetApp Simulator, whatever you like, NetApp SDK, definitely virtual environment, and definitely some kind of text editor, whatever you like. So I think we are good to go ahead, and in upcoming videos we'll see how we can develop using a NetApp API, how we can develop different environments, how we can provision different resources. So this is last slide, and I just want to give you some tips. I know you guys are smart over there, but I still want to insist you that whatever development you are doing, just thoroughly check it on the test environment first, before you apply anything on the production, because it is very very important for you that your test is working perfectly and it is not destroying any data. Because guys, remember, here we are talking about storage systems, and which is one of the important part of the any organization, and data is data is very important part of for any organization, which cannot be built if it is destroyed and not backed up properly. So just keep in mind, whenever you are doing any implementation, just test it properly in the test environment first before you go ahead and apply it on to the production. So that's all from me in this video. I will see you again in next video. Thank you very much, and keep listening, keep enjoying, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Storage Automation Campus. Thank you guys.